ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 8, text 10. प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषम् उपैति दिव्यम्. Now Krishna, in the previous verse, he explained how one should understand the Supreme Lord, Kavim Puranam Manushashitaram, like that, how to know the Supreme Lord in order to meditate on Him. And in this verse, he talks about a particular kind of meditation by which we get the strength to remember Him at the time of death. Prayana Kale means at the time of death. So, Krishna mentions that there is one method where if you practice this Ashtanga yoga, by the strength of that yoga, at the time of death, you will be able to think of Krishna. We will see what Krishna is saying on this connection. So, prayana kale manasa achalena. At the time of death, your mind should be achalena, unmoved, not flickering, fixed up. Very difficult. How it can be fixed up? Bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva. Bhaktya, by devotion, you have to engage the mind. And yoga balena, how you can come to that situation? By some strength. Like for example, weightlifters. You see in these Olympic games, when they are lifting weights for medals, you'll see them coming to the stage and there is a big weight bar with a lot of weights on its ends, and they lift these weights, and you'll see them, many people will struggle and many cannot lift, and they'll be lifting and they'll be shaking, isn't it? And shaking, and they'll have to put it down because they don't have enough strength. Unless you build enough strength, that weight of that object pulls you down and you'll be shaking. You'll not be able to hold steady. So, likewise, the time of death is like that heavy thing, heavy object on us. And if we have not built enough strength, then we'll be shaking and we have to succumb to it. So, Krishna is saying you have to develop the strength by yoga practice. Yoga balena. So, now Krishna in this specific verse, he talks about the bala that you can attain by practicing Ashtanga yoga. But again, Krishna mentions in the end, you have to come to the point of bhakti. Why he is using bhaktya yukto yoga balena? That means there are two components of yoga practice. There is this preparatory component and then the culminatory component. So the preparatory component can be Ashtanga yoga or Gnana yoga, Dhyana yoga, whatever it is. But ultimately, the culminatory component has to be Bhakti yoga. But in Kali Yuga, nobody can do even Ashtanga yoga, Dhyana yoga, Gnana yoga, Karma yoga, all these things. Very difficult in Kali Yuga. Therefore, even the preparatory stage also has to be Bhakti yoga. So, this is how we should understand. Because in many verses in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about different yogas. This verse itself, Krishna is talking about Ashtanga yoga. But the point is, it is a preparatory stage. So you gather enough bala, yoga bala. But finally, Krishna is saying you have to culminating stage is bhakti, bhaktya yukto. Why you do this preparatory stage? Why you go to samadhi? Why you practice yama, niyama, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi? Why? Because you get the strength to think about Krishna, to control the senses. So that's how we should understand. So, prayana kale manasa achalena, mind has to be unflickering, fixed up with bhakti, bhaktya yukto, yoga balena chaiva, by the strength that you accumulated by practice of yoga. What kind of yoga? Bhruvor madhye pranamaveshya. The yoga, the Ashtanga yogis, they bring this prana, bhruvor madhye. The life air has to be fixed up between these two eyebrows. Aveshya. Samyak satam param purusham upaiti divyam. And when you leave the body like that, thinking about Krishna in bhakti, paramam purusham upaiti divyam. You will attain that supreme destination, supreme abode. So, any yoga path should ultimately culminate in bhakti yoga. So, technically, if you go into the technical terms of this Ashtanga yoga process that Krishna is hinting at, there are different, according to the Ashtanga yoga system, there are different circles of life air, or in the body, there are different chakras from the abdomen to the top of the head. There are different chakras, and life air floats through these six chakras in the body. Shat chakra yoga is also called Shat chakra yoga. And the soul is floating in the life air. And so the yogi throughout the life practices this yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, and so on and so forth. The idea is to raise that life air to the top of the head. That's what Prabhupada mentions. The yogic process is to control the air passing within the body in different places, called Shat Chakra, the six circles of air circulation. The air is raised from the abdomen to the navel, from the navel to the heart, from the heart to the throat, from the throat to between the eyebrows, and from between the eyebrows to the top of the cerebrum. That is the sum and substance of practicing yoga. Before practicing the real yoga system, one has to practice the sitting postures, because this helps in the breathing exercises which control the airs going upwards and downwards. This is a great technique which one has to practice to attain the highest perfectional stage of yoga. But such practice is not meant for this age. So this is what the typical yogis used to do in those ages, yester years, previous ages. They had the time and the technique and the conditions suitable. They can go to the forest or solitary place to control the senses and practice breathing postures, raise the life air gradually to the top of the head. And at the time in bhakti, think of Krishna. Bhaktya yukto, mind you. Still have to culminate in bhakti. Bhaktya yukto. So the point is, even if you follow Ashtanga yoga or Shat Chakra yoga, ultimately you have to come to the platform of bhakti. This is Bhagavad Gita's version. But as I said, you need bala, yoga bala. Either you practice Ashtanga yoga or Bhakti yoga itself, there has to be sufficient strength accumulated. Because suddenly nobody can remember Krishna, nobody can become perfect. This is called Yoga Bala. So there was this sports star who plays this golf, Tiger Woods, when he was at the peak of his success. He was asked, "What is the secret of your success?" And he told three things. And people were all very rapt in attention, very ready to write what are the three things he is going to tell. And then he said, "Practice." And then what? He again said, "Practice." And then what? He again said, "Practice." And people were asking, "Oh, no, no, you said three things." "Yes, I told you the three things." "Oh, it is just one thing." He said, "Yes, that's one thing." Just to emphasize the importance of practice, there is no magic formula. Practice, practice, practice. See, Gajendra, when he was in trouble, caught by the crocodile, nobody could help him. But his practice in previous life came to the fore. He was practicing a special set of mantras, special set of verses, and that verses came to the fore because he was practicing chanting them at all times, good times, bad times. That is why it is said, Sukhe dukhe bhulo nako vadane hari naam korore. Whether you are in happiness or distress, at all times, whether you are at house or at forest, at all times, whether you are in car or walking or in the house, at all times, you should have that practice of chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sometimes people, they say, why you have to practice from young age? You can start practice when you are old. Yet young age is meant for enjoying. No, we every day we see people around us. We see the news. Death does not know young or old, isn't it? Famous people are dying. It doesn't matter famous or not famous. As the age is progressing, everybody is dying young. So death can happen at any time. Earlier ages, at least it was predictable. Death will happen only at old age. Otherwise, people would go and allege the king that he is not being pious. Because of your impiety, death is coming at a faster pace, or the son is dying before the father. But in Kali Yuga, we are accustomed to seeing untimely deaths. So there were two brothers who studied under a guru. And after their education, they wanted to give Guru Dakshina. And the Guru said he will take at an appropriate time. Once they go on with their careers and once they establish themselves, then he will ask. So both go on with their careers. The first brother becomes very rich in his profession. As a result, he has a big house, a lot of servants. And the second brother remains poor and continues to become more poorer. And nothing works. He has to work hard day and night for a very meager salary. Hardly has time for anything. Even though he's working hard, doesn't have time, no money is coming. And then the guru decides now they have established, I've given some time, it's time for Guru Dakshina. I am in need. Let me go. And he decides to go to that first brother who is rich. And then he asks the Guru Dakshina. He says, I have this requirement, I have this problem. He cannot go behind these officials. He does not have resources, money, forms to be filled, whatever it is. I need this task to be done. And the first brother, who is very rich, he happily accommodates the Guru in his house, employs his servants to get everything done for the Guru. And then the second brother comes to know about it and asks the Guru why the Guru had not come to him for help and seek Guru Dakshina. And the Guru said, see, you yourself are very busy serving day and night your boss. Where is your time to accommodate me and serve my requirements? So, the analogy is that the young age is like our servant. We are like the rich master, and young age is our humble servant. Whatever we order, it will do it. But old age is like our bad master. We have to be obedient and be obliged by his dictation. So, in this example, the Guru represents the spiritual path. And if you take to spiritual path at young age, we can employ all our resources to take to it and develop it. Like this first brother who has everything at his command, all the riches, all the resources he have, servants, they represent the young age. Whereas the second brother represents the old age, who has got a boss and who is subservient. He's always serving without any time. So, like that. So, while we are able to command our servant, the young age, we should take to the spiritual path so we can engage our servant in progressing. Otherwise, we won't have time. The old age struggles, nothing we'll be able to do. Like Dhruv Maharaj says, Kaumaram acharet pragno dharman bhagavataniha durlabham manusham janma tadapi adhruvam ardhadam. This practice has to be done from Kaumaram, young age. How young? From 5 years old. It's a great responsibility for the parents. Unfortunately, the society has become, oh, why you are making your children also practice this? At least your life is gone. Let your children enjoy. No, this is what they think. Enjoyment means sense gratification. It's like sending children to a slaughterhouse knowingly. This is what they're doing. This is slaughterhouse civilization, killing the spirit soul, making them addicted to sense gratification so that next birth they are going to animal species, killing the spiritual potential of the living entity. So, the other thing to note in this verse is that to prepare for the sudden exam, the sudden exam can come at any time. Just like in some universities, you might have seen who studied, there is a surprise test. You will go to the class as usual. If you are not alert in doing the homework, the regular regimen exercises given by the teacher, you'll be in for a surprise. He'll conduct a surprise test. And if you are already struggling for grade, you may fail. because you may get bad marks. So, death is like that surprise test. It can come at any time. It won't give us notice. Need to be prepared for it. So, once George Harrison, this Beatles, he was chanting Hare Krishna, inspired by Prabhupada and his disciples. So, he made it a habit to chant Hare Krishna. So, one time he was in this plane and it hit a heavy turbulence, and people thought it was going to crash, and it was descending at a rapid pace. And he was recollecting later, he was chanting Hare Krishna at the top of his lungs. Everyone was shouting and he was chanting. Screaming was going on and so much of chaos. And then he was chanting, and somehow it subsided and people were saved. And then he was recounting how Krishna saved him and how chanting made him fearless. So, Krishna, not that death will not happen for a devotee, because we have got this body. Jatasya hi dhruva mrutyur dhruvam janma mrutasya cha. One who has got birth also has to die, because birth is for the body, not for the soul. The body has to die. Once we go back to Godhead, there is no acquiring material body. But this body, there will be death. So it's not that Krishna will save you from death, but Krishna will save us from being fearful of death. Because this holy name is feared by the fear personified. If there is a personification of fear, just imagine how terrible he is, how fearful we'll be. But he himself becomes afraid of the holy name, even if chanted unconsciously, particularly at the time of death. आपन्नः संश्रुतिं घोरां यन्नाम विवशो घृणन् ततः सद्यो विमुच्येत यद्बिभेति स्वयं भयम्. So when we chant the holy name of the Lord, even unconsciously, helplessly, swayam bhayam bibheti, we become immediately liberated from fear by this power of chanting the holy name. And Prabhupada gives a beautiful example. Death happens for a devotee and a non-devotee. So what is so big deal about practicing Krishna consciousness? The difference is that he gives the example of cat taking its own kitten in its mouth versus that same cat taking its prey, the mouse, in its mouth. Both kitten and the mouse are in the mouth of the cat. But the kitten is feeling secure, very peaceful, calm, unagitated, because it's the mother who is carrying the kitten, the safe hands of the mother, or the mouth of the mother. But the mouse is shivering. The mouse is in complete anxiety because it's now going to die in the mouth of the cat, like that. So, if we don't practice Krishna consciousness, we'll be completely in a fearful stage. But if we do practice nicely, then we'll be completely fearless. Abhaya Charana Ravinda. Bhajahu re mana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charana Ravinda re. So the great Acharya Govinda Das, he prays, he writes this prayer. O mind, he's teaching the mind, O mind, Bhajahu re mana, O mind, Bhaja, worship what? Sri Nanda Nandana, the Supreme Lord, the son of Nanda Maharaj, Krishna, whose lotus feet grants fearlessness, Abhaya Charana Ravindare. If we want fearlessness, ultimately we have to worship the lotus feet of Krishna. So, Prabhupada gave this process by which, even while living a regular life in Kali Yuga, we can reach that stage of samadhi that these Ashtanga yogis have to do by going to the forest and practicing all this kind of sitting postures and breathing exercises and trying to control the senses. That can be done in bhakti yoga while we live a regular life. See, Prabhupada, he himself, one time he was talking to the Beatles. There are different members of the Beatles group, the famous rock band. John Lennon and his wife Yoko was there. He was talking to them, and George Harrison was there. And they were asking some questions. They were saying, Swamiji, we are still trying to understand whom we have to surrender, or who is the right bona fide people spreading about God and spirituality. We are just going through all of that. And then Prabhupada said, one thing you should try to understand, these people are taking to Krishna so nicely. Why don't you try to understand the philosophy from them, these sincere people? And they said, no, no, no. George Harrison said, I'm not saying Krishna is not the supreme. I believe that. But we want to understand who is the right authority about Krishna, whose commentaries are right about Krishna. We are just going through all of that. And then Prabhupada said, so if you believe that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, if that is your version, then you have to see who is most addicted to Krishna. These people are 24 hours chanting Krishna, and other people who are commentating on Krishna, not a single word about Krishna. So, how can they become representatives? And by this process, these devotees, Prabhupada gave the example, from morning 4 o'clock to night 10 o'clock, they are completely engaged in Krishna consciousness, whatever they are doing. And Prabhupada, own example, you see, he went to a foreign country. He was dealing with the hippies, Westerners. He had to arrange flight, travel tickets in the ship. And he was dealing on a day-to-day basis. So the samadhi, it does not limit one to a solitary sitting place. The full meaning of samadhi means complete absorption in loving service of Krishna with our senses, mind, and intelligence. One can be active, travel, preach, distribute magazines, chant on the streets, do our jobs, give our earned income for Krishna, think that the job is given by Krishna. So if a devotee always thinks of Krishna and works on behalf of Krishna, then he is the topmost yogi. As Krishna said a few verses ago, remember me and the same time fight. So Srila Prabhupada was the emblem of that active samadhi, always hearing about, glorifying, remembering Krishna, and always fighting as a soldier on behalf of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that opportunity is there for everyone. I'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments?